is Up SharkNation. We've got our latest guest here on the line, Dan Nugent. How are you doing, Dan?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. We've got Mark Baker over there in Greystones in the kind of lockdown 2.0. It's a little bit more structured there in Dublin than it was the first time, but there's some restrictions that came in last night.
Well, you said Greystones. I wish I was in Greystones. I could go to the pub, but I'm in Glenageary.
Yeah, it's weird. I can almost see it from here, but it's completely different rules. But that's something that we'll have to work through.
My mum was supposed to be going on holidays with her friends there, and she was just about to cancel it, and she ended up talking to her neighbour, and she's like, "No, I'm going to have to cancel my holiday." And he was like, "Why, Caroline? You don't live in Dublin. You live in Bray." And she only just realised it then. She's like, "Oh yeah, don't live in Dublin."
So she'll have to drive into Dublin to get the plane, though, I guess.
She's going down to Kerry, I think.
Perfect.
There's like a difference of 100 meters. You know?
Yeah.
Nobody knows what to say anymore as well, like, because you'll be shamed. The risk of being shamed if you say you're going somewhere. But if it was a week ago, it was fine. So I just say nothing now.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We're supposed to be going to a birthday party. My girlfriend's family tonight. And, no bother last week. There's no kind of weirdness associated with it. But now everyone's like, oh, God, should we go? It's funny, just overnight, things completely changed.
I was talking to one of my friends. She's from Finland, and someone I work with in HubSpot. And she's just been going, I think she's been on 3 holidays since the whole thing. She's just out there taking the shame on the chin. I quite like it.
Same with my dad. My dad lives in Lisbon, and he came back last weekend just to play around golf and went straight back to Lisbon. And he was planning on doing the same next week. I was like, no, you can't do that now. You're going to lose friends over it.
Yeah, it's a tough one. But we digress. So thanks, Dan, for joining us here. Dan is the co-founder of Ambr Eyewear and the founder of Lens Build. We might talk about it a little bit as well. That's kind of your new venture there. So a lot of people that would listen to the podcast will be familiar with Ambr Eyewear. Just to get it's a funny one. It's been on my radar for a couple of years now, and I'm not even a eyewear user. So the branding seems to be really, really strong. I had 2 people over last night from Dublin. We were celebrating an engagement, and we were here in Greystones going out for dinner. And I told them that we had you coming on tomorrow, and they were both customers of yours. They live in the area as well.
Okay,
so it's kind of a really deep brand already. And when did that start? The company?
May 2017, but I wouldn't have called that like an official start as such, like a normal business. May 2017 was very much like me and Sasha sitting on our couch here, very, very amateur website, and selling, quite well. Actually, it started off quite well, but it wasn't what you would call a proper business. It was a complete amateur hour. I would say it became a proper business in around October 2017. We became a limited company, and then started to take things very seriously and do it by the book and everything like. But just 3 years, yeah.
It seems like it's been around for a lot longer than that. And I know, so sometimes on the SharkPod we really dig into like the background story and stuff like that. Did you have any like what was the kind of the beginning of your career after school, after college, or whatever?
Well, there was no optical background whatsoever, and I didn't wear glasses, so it was a totally new kind of industry for me. But I suppose I was quite entrepreneurial. I was always looking for something to sell, and I was very, like, in Leaving Cert, it was very business orientated, like accounting and business studies and stuff. And then I did commerce in UCD, very, very boring kind of run-the-mill college course or whatever. But at the time, it was just when digital marketing was kind of becoming a new industry. And there was a module in UCD called e-business, which I've never heard that word used since.
No, I like that though.
That's what it used to be called. And then it kind of developed into like digital marketing, and then e-business split into loads of different types of stuff. And then, but I really liked that, and I went down the route of kind of marketing and digital marketing and stuff. So my background professionally was digital agencies. So I worked for an Irish digital agency in New York called CKSK as an intern. And then I came back and I got a job in an agency called In the Company of Huskies in Ringsend. And I worked there for a couple of years. And I only left there once Ambr kind of started. I did the two of them side by side for about four months. And then it became kind of too much. And then was able to leave Huskies and concentrate on this full time.
Cool. what's the being in those type of agencies? What's that kind of business like? I know my own company or company I work for, HubSpot, works with loads and loads of marketing agencies. What was that like? Is it constantly trying to win new business, or is it kind of farming a bunch of accounts that they kind of have in there? What's the kind of business model there? I've always wondered.
It's a bit of both. You know, the turnover of staff is ridiculously high in agencies. You just basically do roundabouts between all the big agencies in Dublin. But in terms of customers as well, yeah, a lot of pitching. A lot of time is spent putting together really, really in-depth and clever pitches. And then you might be pitching against like 3 or 4 other agencies and you lose. And then all that work is absolutely for nothing. You know, you don't get paid to pitch. So it's that. And then, you know, they have like their big accounts and they do their utmost really just to bend over backwards for those accounts to keep them, because the turnover of staff, the turnover of customers, you know, it's just like a roundabout, the whole industry in Dublin. But I loved it. I love the atmosphere in there. Very informal, you know, like similar enough to what HubSpot, like a kind of, you know, modern tech company. You know, you wear shorts to work, very, very laid back, but, you know, you get your work done. And it's a good creative environment as well. You know, I liked it because it kind of got you were able to kind of be creative and think, you know, it wasn't maybe so much like accounting or something where your task might be very straightforward. There was a lot of thinking outside the box, and you never really know what the day would bring. Like, you know, you could be out shooting videos one day and then, you know, doing something else one day. So I love that.
And Dan, did you see that was that a springboard into something more entrepreneurial? Do you think that was a good kind of foundation to have, or did you just go into it thinking, look, I'm interested in this, see where it goes?
I don't necessarily. So my job there actually was SEO executive, so search engine optimization, which is something that, like, it's actually not really that interesting, I think, but for most people find it real boring. But for some reason in it, like around when I came back from New York, late 2014, early 2015, I just really became interested in it. I self-taught myself search engine optimization. Like, I bought books, and you know, I'd been working as a bartender in New York for a year while doing an internship, but the internship was very general. I didn't really learn any specific skills. So I thought that, you know, when I come back to Ireland, I want to learn a very specific niche digital skill that guarantees me a job. And I just kind of latched onto this. And I just found it very interesting that you could game Google's system, you know, and it's a skill that not that many people know. And if you could do it well, then, you know, you could sell a lot of a certain product or service. So I got really interested in it, and that's the job that I went for in Huskies. And I ended up working under the SEO head there, and I learned an absolute ton of stuff off him over the following 2 years. So much so that I was extremely confident that if I was to have my own product, I'd easily be able to generate a lot of organic traffic and wouldn't need huge budget to sell that product. But then the thing for me then was, I spent the next a year kind of figuring out, like, what was the product I was going to sell. And, you know, I chatted to him before about this and how I was going to discover the product that I wanted to sell on the side. And I think he said like 3 things. It was make sure that it's small enough to be delivered to be shipped at a reasonable price. It's small enough that you can store it at home, because you're not going to want to have a warehouse or anything like that. And then third, that you can have quite a large markup on it, you know? So those 3 criteria, like small enough to deliver, small enough to store, and that you could have a large enough margin on it to fund a business, you know? So, you know, that's quite vague, but it's surprisingly hard to find something that fits those 3 criteria that hasn't been done to the nines already.
There's loads and loads to unpack there. Like, so for people who are leaving school or leaving college, like I did a kind of a general business degree as well. And one of the things that people said when you come out, it's kind of like, I don't really know how to do anything particularly. Like, you know, I've done a little bit of accounting, I've done a little bit of marketing, you know, but I think it's a great tip to find, just even that it wouldn't have to be anything particular that like, you just have to pick one thing that you can be good at, that like it's a sellable skill. This for your job there was SEO, which is like, I guess in 2014 it's still not early days, but it's kind of, there's still a gap in the market for people for learning those skills. after you started that, it's interesting as well. We talk about distribution a lot on the show. So we talked to somebody, a founder in Sydney, about distribution of his software product, and it was like he was getting involved with selling like on the back of HubSpot. So if you buy HubSpot and you buy his kind of add-on, so he's kind of piggybacking on all of that. All that activity. Same with Salesforce. So it's interesting that you're thinking a distribution like e-commerce. You're trying to like it's more almost like a digital marketing company first, and then a product that people love and fits that criteria kind of second, which is an interesting way of looking at it, rather than just somebody having a huge passion for designing something and trying to build a business around it. Maybe Mark, that's kind of what you did with the art. It was more art first, and then trying to figure out a way to get it out there.
Yeah, I was going to ask Dan. I think you've mentioned you use Shopify for the website, and I use that. I built numerous websites with Shopify, and it's very, very simple. I reckon I could build a Shopify website for a company selling the product in a few hours, and have it up and running because of all the plugins and everything. But one thing I never really touched upon, and I just thought it was too hard, or maybe it just takes years, but is SEO. Just for an example, like if someone was to start a business, they had a good product, good website, nice website. If they had a good SEO plan and in place and didn't, what kind of difference what kind of difference does a good SEO kind of make? Sales-wise,
there's a lot of different scenarios where you talk about as well, but I'll probably just use my own as an example. And this is probably funny because I'd say people have never kind of heard this approach to starting a business before. So I actually would have selling blue light glasses. That decision would have been based on SEO research. Do you know what I mean? So when I'm saying about physically, those you need an item that you can deliver, store, and charge a markup on grant. But then I also didn't want to start selling something where Google search results, like high positions in the search results, was very competitive. So I tried to find, so I would use Google Trends. If I came up with a product, I'd use Google Trends, and I'd look at it in America, and I'd see you're usually like 2 years behind in America. So for example, using blue light glasses, I would have seen in Google Trends that blue light glasses 2 years ago in the States were like 10% of the level that they were in 2017. And then you look at Ireland, and that curve had yet to start going up, So you're like, okay, so, we usually follow the States. So I have a feeling that blue light glasses are going to be really big in Ireland in like 2 years. And then I also would have done keyword research to find out, firstly, that there is volume here. Like there are people looking for blue light glasses in the UK and Ireland. But then, you could also use certain digital tools. There's one like SEMrush and Ahrefs. These are two different software as a service things. And I could find out that high positions for these keywords weren't competitive. So, if I can't start a car insurance company and go, oh, I'm really good at SEO. I'm gonna rank #1 for car insurance tomorrow. This is never gonna happen. But like finding an item where there is a search volume there and there is people looking for it, maybe not so much right now, but it's going to grow. But also there's not that many competitors in the space digitally. So I can, with a bit of work, I can be the #1 ranking blue light glasses brand in Ireland fairly easily. Wow. So that kind of, that was like reinforcing that this was a good idea. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have, if I had seen that nobody was looking for blue light glasses and nobody in the state, like it had never got popular in America or whatever, I probably wouldn't have started the company. But you're looking at it and you're like, okay, the data tells you that this is going to be a big thing, and it's relatively non-competitive.
For somebody starting out like you were at the time, you had that skill set, of course, but would you recommend just getting that outsourced, a good SEO strategy, or learning it? Can you learn it in a short enough a space of time, the basics that it's worth learning to implement, or would you recommend outsourcing it to someone else?
I reckon you could learn it quite quickly, and you just got to learn how to use certain online tools like Google Keyword Planner, SEMrush, Ahrefs. Like get comfortable with them, and you can do a ton of research. You can find any information that you want about this type of stuff through those tools. I suppose the hard part then is actually implementing search engine optimization. So I mean, it's not rocket science, I mean, it's one of those things, with a lot of skills, you can learn it relatively easy, but 99% of people aren't bothered, and that's why they view you as like, oh, an expert at this, whereas they could probably get to that level within 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
So many things like that,
yeah. And another thing, right? It depends on how you're starting a business. Like for us, myself and Sasha were doing this as a side project, more for our own entertainment, and then also, you know, if we made €200 a month to pay the electricity bill, we would have been delighted. So because we had no budget for this at all, I think our total budget at the start, we put in like $1,500 each. We didn't have a giant PPC budget. We couldn't like produce the great social ads and put loads of money behind them. We couldn't hire an agency. So, you know, it was completely dependent on free organic traffic, and SEO is obviously the best way to do that because you don't pay. You know, if you can solve the puzzle, then you're going to start seeing a steady stream of traffic coming to your website consistently for free. So, I mean, the way I started Ambr would have probably been different. Say when I'm starting Lens Build now, there's a bit of money there to put behind PPC and advertising and stuff. So again, yeah, if you're starting a business on a budget, it's definitely a really good way, definitely good skill to understand.
It's interesting. So, I actually worked with a lot of marketers when I was selling HubSpot, and there was varying success, let's say, with their SEO strategies, especially kind of once the companies were up and running. And one of the things that perhaps they weren't doing was that type of SEO planning where they're looking to America, and thinking, back 2 years where Ireland is with kind of everything, and going after a market that's on the rise. And we, like on the SharkPod, we talk to people all the time about the value of being able to sell to America and stuff like that. Are you guys selling to just Ireland and the UK primarily, or is there any conquering the US in the plans?
I wouldn't go as far as saying conquering, but we do, we'd have daily sales in the US, and it's not crazy numbers, but it used to be. We actually, before the blue light glasses market got ridiculously competitive, which it is now, and a lot of big optical brands in the US are in on it now. But we would have been getting massive traffic from the US, and we were selling tons over a period of time. But when more big companies enter the market, the traffic was kind of diluted. But now, yeah, it's actually mostly Ireland, and then UK and US would be still be daily US and UK sales, which is great.
And Dan, where would the traffic be coming from? What kind of routes? Is it social media? Is it Instagram? Is it Twitter? Is it direct? Is it paid ads? Is it influencers?
It's mainly direct and organic, and then we do a lot of we have quite a large PPC budget now, so Google search ads as well. So it's those three things mainly. I find social traffic, it makes up a very small portion of it, and then we actually don't use influencer marketing at all.
Okay.
So it is I tend to focus again. I'm not like Warby Parker or Specsavers, so you don't have an unlimited budget to spend. And then we do social ads, of course, and there's a good return and stuff there. But my focus on I tend to focus more on spending advertising budget to gain traffic from people who have intent to buy. So essentially, think of it this way: if you're putting a social ad out there, fair enough, you could have good targeting or whatever, but you're kind of just, I suppose, pissing in the wind and hoping someone, or just throwing a fishing rod out there and hoping someone latches on and pull them in. Whereas if I'm putting most of my budget behind PPC ads, buy blue light glasses now, and someone types that in, and I show up, they're already on the hook there. That's a much easier sell and a higher conversion rate. So I always would recommend that if you're kind of limited in your budget, you start with that type of advertising and then grow it out to social and kind of more top of the funnel advertising.
I think a lot of the direct hits that you get on the website are obviously from word of mouth. Is obviously huge as well.
Word of mouth.
I mentioned, like Luke, actually, we were having you on the podcast to the guys in work, and one of the guys that works with me, a guy called Angus Cody. I'm not sure if you know him, but
I actually do know him. Goose Cody.
Yeah, great fella.
Gook's
I don't
face.
really know.
He said that him and his partner got a pair of glasses over the lockdown period, and says the best thing they've bought since March. So
Oh, that's
there you
great.
are. Mm.
And then people tell other people and go like that. But like, did you ever try any marketing around invite a friend or that type of marketing as well? It's like, we'll give you 10% off if somebody else signs up, or for our business, or is that part of it? Or
Yeah, did that for a while and ended up with a lot of scamming. If you bought a pair, you would get an automated discount code, a personalized discount code that you could share with your friends. But such is the internet, you'd have bots and finding out these codes, and then they'd put the codes on coupon websites, and and then we would see this pattern where people would get to checkout, and they would leave the website and then come back with a discount code. So they were obviously about to check out full price, and they go, Ambr Eyewear discount codes, and then they'd be using one of these discount codes. So they were going to convert anyway, so we were just losing money. And also, every time that code was redeemed, the person who created the code was getting €5. So we noticed that some lads were getting paid 400 quid or something. And it wasn't the way we intended it to be. They were just putting this code up on coupon websites and stuff. So it just became too difficult to monitor. But I would, if I could find a way to do that, without having breaches of security like that, it'd be great.
The internet.
My intention is for people to share it in their WhatsApp groups and stuff, but not put it up on these stupid coupon websites.
Mm. Yeah, it's such an interesting as well. Like all these angles with online business that you have to kind of keep covered, because there's always people trying to make a buck off that.
Take advantage of it. Yeah, we have to stop affiliate marketing. Just because of all the scamming that was going on. And just if you had typed in Ambr Eyewear discount codes, there was rakes and rakes of websites who just had all these coupon codes, and you just couldn't keep track of it. And then you're also paying them per redemption of that coupon as well. So you didn't have the resources to monitor it.
Dan, just to go back to the actual product, right? So tell us about how they work, why they're unique, and kind of the thought process that went into the design. Tell us all about the actual product.
Yeah, so the product itself, when myself, Sasha is a designer and digital designer, and then I was in digital marketing working in Huskies, and so the two of us were spending an awful lot of time in front of the screen, she was pregnant at the time. No, I can't remember. Yeah, I think she was pregnant at the time, so we weren't socializing that much. So screen time was even more a part of our lives, and we were suffering terribly from headaches and eye strain, and just kind of poor moods from just working at a screen all day, commuting, looking at your phone, coming back, watching TV. It's just not good for your head or whatever. And then I came across articles about blue light, because it wasn't really a big subject here in Ireland at all. Now it is, with podcasts and people really, really into health and fitness, even more so than 3 years ago. It wasn't really a much talked about thing at the time. So I bought a pair of these cheap Amazon blue light blocking glasses with the orange tints. And for me, they worked incredibly well. I just didn't get the headaches and the pounding headache anymore. And I didn't really put two and two together that this was the product that I was looking, that I could be selling. And then I think Sasha just suggested, she's like, why don't we just sell glasses like that? And that's when I conducted all this SEO research and was like, okay, well, this is a great product to sell. And then we just kind of set about going okay, how can we make it better? We looked at what was on the market. The main thing that was on the market at the time were those gamer glasses with the orange lenses. And then, we did a lot of research in contacting different manufacturers and lens manufacturers, and we discovered that there was a new kind of technology coming out that you could have blue light blocking lenses that were virtually clear. And there wasn't really any brands doing this at the time. And then, we're thinking these type of glasses shouldn't be just confined to gamers with that wraparound style. You wouldn't be caught dead in them in the office. And there was definitely this kind of market there for. It was also a time when I'd noticed nothing. I'd never done this now, but some people were buying lensless glasses purely for the fashion aspect of it. So we were there's definitely an opportunity here for these type of glasses with a clear lens, designed well, that are stylish, and you also could substitute as a fashion accessory. So then, you know, we went through different manufacturers, and you know, using part of our savings to purchase samples and prototypes, and all coming back terrible quality. And it was very disheartening. We were about to kind of axe the whole idea. And then the final manufacturer that we had contacted to send us samples, lens samples and frame samples, was just excellent quality. Lenses worked really, really well. We tested them out for a while. And then it was just as simple as, you know, what are the general designs that you want? And we went for just classic, you know, the Wayfarer style, and then a more roundy style. We didn't really have that much money, so just picked black, tortoiseshell. There we go. And we got a small batch of 100 glasses, and it just took off from there. You know, people loved them, and it was a new product. And I remember I from my digital marketing background, I reached out to a few people in some different publications around Dublin, and a journalist from Love in Dublin took a pair, and she wore them for a week, and then wrote a big review on the Love in Dublin website that took up the main slot on the homepage like 5 days after we launched, 3 or 4 days, something. Wow. And we just sold out of that first batch of 100 like straight away, and then we had to open like pre-orders, and we got 4 weeks worth of pre-orders, and then just snowballed from then. And then you know, we turned our focus on, you know, we're not going to keep all this money for ourselves. We're going to put it back into the business, develop our website, develop new styles, work on creating like a really, really good brand and a really good product.
Amazing. Because that's always the hard thing as well with actual products. Like when you're building like SaaS products and stuff like that, it's all about development and stuff like that. But if you have a real you know, a hardware piece, getting the manufacturers right, it must be so challenging. Also, having all of the stuff to store somewhere, not on the internet, but actual store in your house or whatever. Was this kind of like walking into a spare room or something, can't open the door full of glasses, or how long did that last?
Not at the start, but when it got about 6 months down the line, then we were starting to use my daughter's like room to store everything, and then we eventually had to move to a small office and a bigger office, and we're moving again to a bigger office next week. So yeah, like in our house now, there's glasses everywhere. There's like every drawer, they're like on the floor almost everywhere. There's just glasses everywhere. But yeah, at the time, you know, the first batch was only like 100 glasses, and we didn't really know what the hell we were doing. Like all we knew was that they looked good, and they worked for us. And I think that we, you know, Sasha has like all the design and the branding and the color and everything that you see. That's kind of all Sasha. I'm pretty good at saying if something looks good or not, but I can't physically create it myself. So I would definitely be with the kind of more business and marketing, and she kind of is responsible for the aesthetic of the product and the website. But we just kind of created stuff that we would like. You know, we didn't do any market research or go out there and ask people questions. It was like, what would I like to wear? And that has always been the case. Like anything we do now is just like, well, do I like it? Because the target market is me, you know? Mm-hmm.
And was there a moment, you mentioned the Love in Dublin article, but like what separates this little venture that, you know, at the time from all the other little ventures you were trying to do? What made that go from a side hustle to something a lot more? Was there any one moment or one particular factor?
Well, I think it was the first time that I'd ever put proper hours into a side project. You know, a lot of people have side projects and they might have a great idea, but they never really like execute on it. You know, they never really follow through with it. But because I'm just trying to remember the timeline. Yeah, we had no. When I said she was pregnant, I was way off there. Sorry, our daughter was like nearly 2, so. But anyway, my point was that we were spending a lot more time indoors because we had a small child, and you know, I needed something to do other than watch TV, and so did she. So sorry, my dog's barking now. And can you take it away? Oh. I have to close the door here.
There you go.
So yeah, we just kind of wanted something to do, and it was the first time that I'd ever actually followed through properly with an idea, like building the website, sourcing the product, and like having all those, like, you know, you take little baby steps, each day. And, you know, a lot of the time you stop after like three stages and you're like, oh, I'm not bothered continuing with that. But this was the one thing that we followed completely through it, to have a functioning website and a functioning product like ready to go in our house. And that's what made it different.
Yeah, and necessity is the mother of invention as well. With a young child there, you know, you kind of maybe put the extra effort in. Some people think that when you have young kids, it's the wrong time to jump into something, but I found that I did more.
Yeah, I actually couldn't disagree more. Like I found that, you know, there wasn't going out with your mates, like there wasn't, you know, lying in bed hungover on a Sunday as much as there used to be. So you know, I just had so much time on my hands. I felt once Aurora was like asleep at night, you know, you've got like 3 or 4 hours at night, and you're not going to be like watching TV or scrolling on your phone all the time. It's just not good for you. So to do something productive, I felt like I had such an opportunity to be productive.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So, Mark, you got that dad power to go and get after it as well. It's cool.
That's it.
Cool. So with on the e-commerce businesses, like I think this might be the first e-commerce business that we had on. I had one of my favorite customers that I ever had. I sold to HubSpot to this guy up in the fjords in Norway. His name was Oscar. He sold rifle stocks, and it was just the most amazing little business that he had. He had like a factory in this tiny town, hired all of his friends and family, and
that is very cool.
It's really cool, and all of his like content is him and his friends like up in the like Norse mountains and stuff. It's really cool. Like anyway, but his whole thing was like it's made to order. So he has all these orders come in from all over the world, and he just makes, so there's no kind of costs for him unless someone actually sends him the money. So that kind of way. So it was really good model that way. Yeah. But for him, it's really hard to scale then because he's like kind of in the middle of nowhere. There's not a lot of resources to get, you know, build something bigger there. But for you guys, scaling this type of business, can you do this with leveraging just like pay-per-click stuff? Like, do you need to, you know, get a crazy headcount if you wanted to make this like a huge business?
I don't really know the answer to that, because I've only ever done this once, and we were very lucky in that, as I said, you know, we sold out of that initial 100 pairs of glasses, and yeah, there was a panic stations going like, oh, we're getting all this traffic from Love and Dublin, and I also think Roz Percival had put a post up about it as well. So we had that double whammy after a week of like all that traffic, and either we were going to have all those people arrive at our website and see everything was sold out and never come back, or else we kind of think of something. So as you said earlier, Mark, with Shopify, you have all these plugins and stuff. We were like, oh, what about, you know, pre-orders or whatever? Because I'd actually listened to a podcast about the founding of Warby Parker, and this is what they'd done when they sold out of their first batch. They'd installed a pre-ordering function on the website. So we did that, and you know, we were honest and upfront about it. It's like, you might not get these glasses for about 5 or 6 weeks, but people still bought. And like, you know, I think we made like 5 figures from those pre-orders alone. And then what that did was that bought the next batch of stock, you know, and then it's just snowballed since then. I don't really know how far this could go, but you know, it's been like slow and steady progress rather than, you know, just going from 1 to 20,000 pairs of glasses overnight, which, yeah, that wouldn't be sustainable. But, you know, the way we've grown and snowballed like the way we have, it's been fairly manageable.
Perfect.
And Dan, would you use other platforms like the likes of Amazon or any other kind of platforms like that, or is it solely just your own website?
We were on Amazon for a while. I find it extremely confusing, and I just found it quite difficult. And also, I do think there's an element of being on Amazon taking away from the brand. I could be wrong, but I don't shop on Amazon myself. I prefer to kind of find independent retailers and stuff. I don't know. I just didn't like being on Amazon, and yeah, it was hard. So I took the products off Amazon actually.
Sometimes on Amazon, I feel like it's when I buy something that's not on Amazon, I feel like I'm doing a good thing. Like, so even if it's even like another big company like the Book Depository or something, when I go there, I'm like, yeah, it's like an action against Amazon.
Yeah, you know? Rebellious.
Amazon probably own them for all you know, Luke.
Yeah,
probably do. But I get that as well, especially when you're just scrolling through. Like I use Amazon for like, I got the thing of like industrial tape, that type of thing. It's fine, you know. but I know what you mean.
Yeah.
If you're looking for something a little bit more kind of specialized, like we're looking for a new background for us. We used to have a background here for the podcast, but it got kind of disintegrated. So we're looking for a new one. And it was on like Etsy, and there's all these people that make these amazing backgrounds in their shed. Kind of way. I just prefer to maybe buy that if we can.
Yeah, definitely. That's the way to go.
Yeah, for sure. So good.
In terms of, sorry, you're saying like in terms of other sales channels, no, it's just been our website. Now, like online, it's just our website. Like we do have the two little fixtures now in Brent Thomas, and actually, sorry, Brent Thomas selling their website. But in terms of like, Amazon and stuff now.
And how do you get into Brown Thomas? Do they kind of contact you if they're looking for, do they reach out to sort of build their kind of stock or their new stuff that are coming in, or is there like do you have to pitch your idea to those guys, or how does that work?
It was a bizarre situation with Brown Thomas. Actually, my dad swims in the 40-foot. Well, he lives in Portugal now, but before he moved there, he swam the 40-foot every morning, and he befriended the head buyer of the men's department's brother, right? And was always talking about Ambr and talking about his son's company. And the brother was like, "Oh, geez, I must mention it to my brother. He might be interested." And he mentioned it to the brother in Brown Thomas, and he was like, "That sounds deadly. Send him in." So I was like, "Oh God, this is Brown Thomas is a pretty big deal, It's like Selfridge is, and this was 2 years ago, so we were only like a year and a few months old. I didn't really know what I was doing, and I remember I went into the meeting with like the creative director of Brown Thomas. I think her name's Shelley Corkery, and she's actually quite famous, turns out. And we sat in a room, and I just had this fucking filthy white t-shirt on and tattoos hanging out and a backpack on my back with loads of glasses in them. And we just sat in a room and had a chat. And I thought I was going in to pitch the product, but they had already made up their mind about the product. So when I got there, it was like, how do we put the product in, and when do we put the product in? And I was like, oh my God, is this actually happening? And then I left there, I left that meeting elated. So again, look, I've been very lucky with things like this. I think like that, I didn't even have to pitch or go through that much hard work. A slight bit of nepotism. Actually, no, not nepotism. It was just it was a favor that my dad did, And then I think they just kind of liked the idea of a company from Dublin with a unique product that, it looks good and the branding is good. And I think they just got a kick out of me being so unprofessional. And that was it, really.
They're probably used to dealing with the guys from like Gucci and stuff coming in.
Yeah, like this is stark contrast. And then it was very cool. It took about 6 months to decide on the design of the stands that would go in. Because they're so particular. Everything has to be perfect. And so we ended up getting these beautiful like chrome and brass stands built by an agency here in Dunleary, like a product design agency. And then me and Sasha went in there at 2 a.m. Because you can't install it obviously during the day. We were in there at 2 a.m. in November 2017. That's November 2018. Just like watching like loads of people put in our brand and install our product into the Brown Thomas men's department and women's department. The men's one was right beside Tommy Hilfiger and Kenzo. And it was just so surreal, like to see that brand that you made in your kitchen like a year earlier be in such a esteemed company in like Ireland's largest luxury department store. It was insane.
Insane. Wow. So cool. We've got a bit of a tradition on the SharkPod here. It's we have a lightning round or a quick fire round. It's kind of Mark's party piece here. Mark, I know we've got a kind of a hard stop here as well. So maybe a few of your favorite ones, Mark. Then we'll let Dan get on with his day. Okay,
yeah. What's your favorite social media and why?
Twitter, I think now. I hate Instagram so much. I hate Facebook so much. So it doesn't leave me with much of an option. But Twitter, I just loved the gas jokes coming out of people in Ireland throughout COVID, like the Golfgate. I was just following that hashtag Golfgate for all just this hilarious jokes. And just I think in Twitter during lockdown in Ireland there was a real good sense of community within Ireland, and it almost felt like you were like all in it together, like with your mates. Just such were the jokes and the tweets coming out. I got quite addicted to it over lockdown.
Very good. What's the best business idea you've never acted upon?
Oh my God! Oh, there's one thing. That I thought. Oh yeah. Do you know? The way that Revolut introduced this new thing recently? Where was it Revolut that did it? So where you can give virtual spare change to charity, right? Where it's like, say, I think it's Revolut. I could be wrong. But where you've got, like, if you go into a shop and you buy something for like $1.90 or something, you're left with 10 cents. You can choose to donate that virtual spare change to charity. But I had thought that for ages when I saw like homeless people not getting any spare change because everybody's has cards and stuff.
Yeah.
I thought about it for ages, but I never acted upon it, and I saw Revolut did.
That's a brilliant idea, and it's also something that you could do for good in the world as well. Do you know, if you're like, I was in town for the first time in ages on Monday. I had a day off. We went in and we ate at Crew, like new Cajun place. Delicious, by the way. I felt like a thrill. Feels like you're in America. Really, I know that's what they're trying to do, but it's really nice. But the like, because there wasn't that many people like working in town at the time, those people still working from home. You could see, it was almost like you could see the homeless people in a brighter way because they weren't kind of faded into crowds of people. And I was just thinking, there's no. I haven't gone to an ATM in 6 months to get cash. Do you know what I mean? So there's no way to help out even if you wanted to. Do you know what I mean? So good idea.
Okay. If you could do business anywhere in the world, where would it be?
The country-wise, if I could live anywhere.
Or do just what market?
What market? I'd love to crack the US market. I'd love to be a big brand in the US. 100%. It's so hard, but like that would be a big goal. I used to live in New York, like, and I'd love to open a little shop in Brooklyn or something.
Was there anything you saw over there that you thought that's worth bringing home? Idea-wise.
We had a pop-up shop last Christmas on Wicklow Street where I got in touch with my friend Brian, who owns Happy Out Cafe in Clontarf, on Bull Island.
Okay. Yeah.
And we did like a hybrid coffee shop, glasses shop pop-up for 2 months on Wicklow Street, and that was very Brooklyn, like very, 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 very cool New York, and people didn't really seem to get it in Ireland. And like, what? Coffee shop and a glasses shop? I'm not going in there. But,
you're ahead of your time. Too weird. Ahead of your time. How much money is enough money?
Enough to buy a nice house. That's enough for me. Like, I don't really buy any. I don't buy any flashy stuff or clothes. No, I don't have any money really, but I have no desire to buy flashy things or whatever. It just, for me, it would just be like to have a nice house in Dublin, because we're currently renting an apartment. And then, for me, it's the work-life balance is far more important than the money, than any money, to be honest. And I think money gives you that freedom, Yeah.
And are you quite, just out of interest, are you quite disciplined? I know because you're self-employed. Are you quite disciplined with your time? Do you work kind of like a 9 to 5, or are you like flexible with the way you work? Is that part of the reason why you like working for yourself?
I do try and stick to the 9 to 5. I think we've been very conditioned to believe that that's working hours, but I'm able to, take a break and be flexible. Like, I do enjoy that aspect of working for yourself, but then at the same time, I will be on like Google Analytics at 10 p.m. at night, seeing like, if there's been any discrepancies in traffic or where the traffic dropped or something like that. So in terms of that, it's 24/7. But it's nice to be able to just, to go for a hike at 2 o'clock or something if you want to.
Perfect. Hey Mark, one more. What's the burning question that you got there on your list there, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay, right. Two more, two quick ones, right?
Okay.
Is it who you know, or is it what you know?
What you know, definitely.
Okay.
I don't know. I didn't know anybody. Well, actually, no, I've contradicted myself with the Brian Thomas thing. But I did like 95% of our business is online, and I didn't know anybody that helped me. Like, I didn't really have any help, and I just, as I said, like, just teaching yourself, working hard, putting in the hours, and being a little bit lucky, I think, outweighs. Like, I've seen a good few people, like, and then I go to a lot of like local enterprise office events, and like, there's a good few people there, I think, that, like, family members have like given them a shed load of money and got them connections and stuff. But like, it doesn't mean that their business is good. It doesn't mean that their business is going to last. I think definitely what you know is more important.
Cool. Okay, last one. If you could advise somebody to learn one skill, what would it be?
SEO, maybe.
I'd probably say Google AdWords and Facebook Ads Manager.
Perfect.
I don't know that well now, but like if you're really good at those two things, Jesus, like you can sell anything really, you know.
One last question: which one do you prefer? Which one's better for a product, Google or Facebook ads?
I would say Google ads starting off, and then no, I'd say Google ads. Yeah, Google ads.
Okay.
Perfect. Well, Dan, thanks very much for joining us on the SharkPod today. We do have one more question. Would you prefer a SharkPod T-shirt or a SharkPod mug? Something like that. It's up to you. T-shirt. Perfect. Dan, thanks very much for joining us today. And this will be out in a couple of weeks. We'll let you know. Really interesting business. Like Mark said, like all of our friends, when we said that you were coming on, they'd already knew about the business, which is something that's incredibly hard to do with a brand with a small team like you have. So kudos on that, and I wish you all the best for the future.
Thanks a million.
Thanks very much. Cheers, Mark.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Right,
And
we go. Okay.
Perfect. All right.
Yeah, I
thanks
got to run.